Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Friday, April 11, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, Compol leads prosecution for arraignment of horse abusers. BEL asks for 7.5% rate increase starting January 2026. And residents' vehicle license plates stolen overnight. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
any long.
Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams led the prosecution in the arraignment of the horse abusers captured on a video that shook Belize's social media Thursday. Among the 5 accused are 2 second-form students, one of whom was just detained this morning, which led to the arraignment being postponed until the afternoon. The adults are Raheem Herbert and Tyreek Strawn, who are both 19 years old. All 5 were charged with 1 count of cruelty to an animal and cattle theft. 4 were accused of abetment to commit cruelty to an animal. At the conclusion, though, Williams asked for bail to be denied. It was granted, and the magistrate explained that bail should not be a punitive measure, but rather it should be withheld in cases where it is believed the defendants will abscond. All accused pleaded guilty on the charge of cruelty to an animal and not guilty on the charge of theft. In the case of the abetment charge, which was levied on 4 of the accused, 3 pleaded guilty and the 4th initially denied holding the rope to the horse as he was being accused of doing. After the charge was explained to him, he changed his plea to guilty. The commissioner reported that Human Services is involved, given that the majority of the accused are minors.
Department is here. I am sure that they have interviewed the children, those minors involved, and as a part of the court process, I am sure that the court will also order a social inquiry report, which will be produced by social department, and that will form part of the case. Especially when it comes to the conclusion, if they are found guilty, the court is going to be requiring that report as a part of them assessing what degree of penalty they will demit on these persons.
And based on this case, I think people were pointing out from way before the fact that a lot of youth are roaming around the city with these horses that look malnourished. Is that something that authorities would look into, including the police, because you're the ones who bring the charges, and I know that the care of animals factors under the Cruelty to Animals Act.
That is not going to be something the police will be able to look at. It would fall more within the domain of health authority, perhaps maybe even Baja. And I know that they do have a humane society that operates within Belize. I think they can put their resources together and see what can be done to address those issues. I know for a fact that while we do have these young people who may move around the city on these horses, I think for the most part they do show a great degree of love towards these animals, so perhaps it can just be that they don't have the means to properly care for them. And I think when we experience those circumstances, then the wider society should see what they can do to assist these young men in caring for the horses. Again, I think that if they have a pet, or I would still refer to a horse as a pet, if it is that you can show care and empathy towards an animal, that also assists you in terms of your upbringing. I know I had a son, and my son had a dog, and he loved that dog so much, and when that dog was knocked down and killed by a vehicle, my son could eat for over a week. He was really, really and truly heartbroken because of that. So I know for a fact that children do love animals. So if you find a situation where they have pets and they're caring for them, then I think we should help them to be able to care more for the pet and keep the pet.
The Compol explained why he decided to lead the arraignment.
It is something that is really outrageous. It has shocked the public sense, and the public conscience, and I think that we must give it great priority. Again, as has been said by the Humane Society and even the ordinary Belizeans who witnessed what happened, they're saying that we need to do something that's going to send a strong signal. We have many animals out here that are owned by people, and we must always ensure that we care for these animals and we show empathy towards them. I, for one, am not an animal lover, but I do respect those who love animal. And I don't think that anybody should treat an animal in such way as we have seen in that video footage. So again, I'm just here to do my part in showing that from the police department standpoint, we are determined to make sure that those persons who commit these type of acts, that they are brought to justice.
The Compol says the aspect of the majority of the accused being minors will factor in at the time of mitigation if they are found guilty. After the arraignment, the Compol discussed the outcome.
Them having pled guilty to those 2 counts and not guilty on 1, the magistrate has now ordered that we return to court on the 5th of May, where she'll be hearing mitigation from the accused persons, and then the prosecution is going to certainly do a submission to oppose the mitigation. Certainly will be going for a term of imprisonment as opposed to a fine. And then in respect to the count for which they had pled not guilty, she have adjourned that to a date in June, when the matter is going to be heard.
Williams also addressed a matter that was brought up in court by one of the minors who reported that as a horse owner, other young men come to his house and stone the horses. He added that he has gone all the way from the Faubers Road Extension area to the Raccoon Street Police Station to file reports with nothing being done. It betrays a rivalry surrounding the horses.
To just cited is clearly an indication that this is not going to stop. There is a very strong potential that it is going to continue, and I hope and pray that we're not going to be witnesses to another horse being mutilated the way how we saw in that video that was circulating recently. And yes, so long as the report comes to the police should take action in addressing them. I heard what the defendant Faber said. I don't know if he went to the police alone or with a parent. He's a minor, and certainly the police will not be able to take a report from a minor absent their parents being present. So I just want to say to them that if it is that these things are occurring, when they want to go to the police and lodge a complaint, they must bring along their parents with them if they are minors. In the absence of their minors, the police will not be able to take their reports, and little to nothing will be able to be done.
Are you leaving it to Human Services and other entities you mentioned this morning to undertake an intervention to intervene in this matter that can certainly escalate? These children do not belong with horses that they are unable to take care of and mistreating.
Well, certainly, as I said this morning, Marisol, that's a matter that will have to be undertaken by different entities. The police are already overburdened with other issues. We have been taking on a lot, and I don't see the police taking on more of those responsibilities that should fall within the domain of other departments. So I saw what Baha did recently with this horse Wani. It shows that they are interested, they are committed as well, and I'm certain if something were to go to them, some concerns, they would do what they can to be able to address it as well.
Is there anything that would allow the confiscation of all these horses that are roaming around with these children, or that the children are roaming around with, to be placed with people who are able to give them better care that they deserve?
They'll be treading on thin ice, certainly.
How do they prove they came into ownership of those horses?
It's thin ice. The horses are property, and you can't just take away a person's property without just cause, and it is going to be difficult, certainly.
But okay, so in the case of the 18-year-old who supposedly owns this horse, is there any paperwork to prove he does?
Marisol, I am sure that if I go to your house, you have many things that you don't have paper for to show that you're the owner. Same with me. We don't normally keep receipts or things of the like. So not because a person don't have papers to show that something belongs to them means that it is not theirs. So we have to be careful when we speak about taking away people's property.
We could do investigation.
Yes,
Who did you buy it from?
Yes, it's possible.
The fact that they have antecedents in court as well, can you speak about that? I don't know how many.
Well, the truth is some of them have very long rap sheet and they're very young. And to see they have such long rap sheet at such a young age, I could just imagine.
Williams also asked in court for a psychiatric evaluation to be done of the minors. Belize Electricity Limited, BEL, is applying to the Public Utilities Commission for a 7.5% or 3-cent increase in the rate of electricity. This would take the cost per kilowatt hour from 40 cents to 43 cents. The start date would be January 1, 2026 to June 30, 2028. The reason submitted for the increase is rapid growing demand for electricity, which BEL says must increasingly be obtained from more expensive sources, the inflationary pressures in operation and maintenance, and third, more investments needed in grid hardening and modernization, as well as for the connection of new utility-scale renewable energy generation and battery energy storage solutions. This is apart from the fact that with this increase, the company is seeking to recover past energy supply costs, which were borne by the company. BEL is also asking that the rate increase feature the application of a demand charge rate, which was a new rate classification introduced by the PUC in 2024 that the company had intended to apply to the tourism sector, but which the PUC says can be used by anyone to shift their existing classification if it makes more economic sense to them. It features charges per demand, peak energy charge, and off-peak energy. BEL in its release today says the demand charge rate ensures cost recovery and fair pricing mechanisms. About 9 residents who live along Maurice Adina Street off Faubers Road Extension in Belize City woke up to find that the license plates on their cars had been stolen overnight on April 8. They heard drilling at around 2 a.m., but they ignored the noise. The Commissioner of Police spoke about the case today.
We're working in tandem with the traffic department to see what, if anything, can be obtained. I know that many of those persons who lost the license plate in that incident have reapplied to transport department, and I'm speaking about city traffic, and it has been addressed from that standpoint. But again, if you know of anyone who is selling license plates, it is good to report to the police so the police can go and see if in fact those plates are stolen. It seems to be something that is that forms part of the tourism industry, because again, I know that sometimes tourists may want to buy a license plate and take back to their respective countries so that they can show, well, I was in Belize and I got this license plate from Belize. So it is something we have to look at very seriously, because it can also be another issue where the license plates are being stolen with the intent that they be used to commit, to place on other vehicles to commit crime. So we have to look at it from all angles.
In such a case, the owners would be safeguarded by the mere fact that the paperwork is at traffic?
Certainly, yes, if they report to the police that they had lost the license plate and the license plate is subsequently found or identified on a vehicle that is used in the commission of a crime, then that would absolve them to some extent to verify that it would have not been their vehicle that was used in the commission of that crime.
After the latest plane landing in the south near the border with Guatemala earlier this month, the names and cell numbers of 2 police officers were found in evidence obtained from the scene. The Commissioner of Police had earlier explained that the officers were released after being questioned. Today, we asked if that is the extent of the investigation against them.
that matter is still under investigation. It is being investigated by the Major Crimes Unit, and the DA is a part of that investigation, overseeing and making sure that what needs to be done is done. They're also assisting with equipments to do extraction from the cell phones of those officers and other electronic devices that may have been found at the landing site, and from other persons who were detained as a part of that investigation. So it is still ongoing, so I can't say much about it at this time, other than it is an ongoing investigation.
So their cell phones were confiscated?
Yes.
After the break, Galen veterinary students to offer follow-up care to Wani. Stay with us.
Hi there. Are you on your phone
Freetown, donde estás mejor vivo que muerto. Farmacia Freetown, teléfono 22 32 87 6.
Commissioner Chester Williams has reconciled with his older brother, Arthur Roy Williams, whom he had previously accused of a cyber crime. They exited arm in arm from the magistrate court in Belize City after Williams withdrew the charges against his sibling on Thursday. Williams said that as brothers, they ought to be able to work things out, and that after they discussed the issue, the decision was taken to avoid the court. But police officer Barrington Mai is not so fortunate. The cybercrime charge brought by Williams against him earlier this month stands, and the commissioner today explained why.
That is the view of those persons, and I respect their view. I must say that as an individual, people say things about me on social media every day, and I don't care. At the end of the day, I am a public figure and I'm subject to be criticized. But when you are going to call me corrupt, I will not countenance it. I have worked in this department for over 33 years, and I have done my utmost best to maintain my integrity. And so if a person were to say that I am corrupted, I am a thief, I am this or I am that, I am going to have them prove that to the court. Bring the evidence before the court and prove that I am such. I am not like the ordinary public who can go and back and forth with somebody on social media. I can't do that. The nature of my office does not require me to do that. It is going to be unprofessional. And so I have to find other ways to defend my character. And so I defend my character using the court system. The law was put in place to protect against cyberbullying. And if it is that there are people out there who do not wish to make use of the law, that is their business. The law is there for all of us to use, and if anybody believes that they are being cyberbullied by another, they have the same right as I do in going to the police, making a complaint, and take the matter before the court so that the person who is bullying you or whatever can go to court and say to defend their position.
Commissioner of Police Chester Williams will go back to being a civilian on May 1st when his appointment as CEO in the Ministry of Constitutional and Religious Affairs, Indigenous Affairs, and Transport takes effect. We asked about the recent implementation of a regulation of seatbelts for cities. The commissioner said, in his view, that should remain on the books.
Seatbelt issue is something that Cabinet have agreed to, and it came into law, and I think that it was considered for good reasons. One might say, why use seatbelt in a city when in fact you cannot drive at a very high speed within city limits, but that is not true. I'm sure that you have seen every day vehicles within city limits driving at extremely high speed, driving reckless, and we have had a number of fatal traffic accidents in the city where we believe that had the victims been wearing seatbelt when those accidents occurred, they may be alive today. So I do believe that it was done in good sense, one, and two, it was also done to ensure that we safeguard the lives of our people as best as we possibly can.
When the video of Awani, the horse, being brutally attacked by teenagers hit social media and went viral, many were horrified. When the video was shared into the group chat of Galen University's veterinary students, they were moved to act and assist Awani. After getting clearance from their professor and then the dean, a plan was quickly formulated. Veterinary professor Dr. Miguel De Paz shared how that fire to help was ignited.
One of the students took up the lead, Mr. Jerry Argas, took up the lead in organizing us to quickly respond to this case, because this case required a quick response. It was already late. We can understand the horse was chopped dead approximately 5 days before, something like that, according to the story. And so it required a quick response. And so we prepared for the quick response. We got in touch with the dean of the faculty, Ms. Sherry Gibbs. We got in touch with Reimers. Myself, as a veterinarian, I have a little kit with basic supplies. One of my students that works at Banana Bank, he has basic supplies. and getting all, we were ready. And actually, I was on my way already somewhere around Red Creek when I got a call that Baja was already attending to the case. So I did not want to interrupt whatever Baja was doing. Baja has a mandate in which they are more concerned with the health of national flock and not so much with individual animal. But because it has a welfare aspect, I could see why they would have responded.
One of the students, Elise Gayon Vernon, shared more on how the students quickly organized and got in touch with Raymer's feed mill, who had offered to help. Plans were put on pause once they heard Baja would assist. She still went to visit Wani and his owner and described that hurtful experience.
One of my other classmates, Andrew Flowers, he went ahead and contacted our dean, and she was on it as well. She agreed. She said, anything that we needed, she can help us with. I went ahead and contacted Raymers because Raymers had said that whichever veterinary team wants to help wanted, that they would help with the products needed to do so. So I went ahead and contacted Raymers, and they agreed to help as well. And so I had them in the loop. And then we got the update that Baja actually helped the horse, as we know. And so we said, okay, we decided to step back. I still went ahead and found Wani, and I got to see him up close and personal, and it's not a pretty sight. But Baha did an excellent job in cleaning the wounds, and so we're thankful for that. I applaud their sense of urgency because that was so important. It certainly helped to save Wani's life. And so now we've agreed to follow up and take care of Wani. Seeing him, and not only seeing it, something that people didn't really talk about on Facebook, but smelling the wounds as well. It kind of puts you in this surreal feeling of, yes, you see the pictures on Facebook, you see the videos, and it impacts you immediately. But to see it up close and personal, I had to hold my emotions because Devante, the owner, he was right there, and I had to hold my emotions. But it hurts. It hurts to know that someone was capable of doing that. That I don't know what could have possibly gone through a human being's head to be able to inflict the injuries that they did. Because standing there looking at this living, breathing animal, it hurts to see them like that.
The school and students have committed to give Wani follow-up care. Dr. DePaz said Wani would need a tetanus vaccine, but explained how difficult it is to obtain in the country. He pleaded for more of the shots to be imported.
One treatment to that poor horse may not be enough. It requires follow-up treatment, follow-up care. And after everything is said and done, and the horse may be fine, if there was not a tetanus antitoxin shot given to that horse, we're still not out of the woods. Although everything may look fine with that horse, horses are very susceptible to tetanus. So this morning I got in contact with one of my students who is out in the field, so to speak, Elise. So we will do our best to procure that tetanus antitoxin this morning. It's not easily available. Veterinarians, I'm sure if you make calls, you will see how difficult it is to acquire a tetanus antitoxin or a tetanus toxoid vaccine. And so I would like to take this opportunity to sensitize the providers of veterinary drugs to please import those type of medication. Tetanus is what horses cannot do without it. It's a high probability that they may die from it if they get an injury. So my point is that the follow-up care for that animal is crucial.
After being shocked at the brutal attack on Wani, Belizeans were again shocked at the lenient punishment for animal cruelty. We do note that the 5 allegedly involved in this case were slapped with additional charges. Many Belizeans are now calling for the cruelty to animals law to be updated. Others, like Shauna Morelli, the former president of the Cayo Animal Welfare Society cause, called out the government for being silent following the incident. In an impassioned post on Facebook, Morelli stated in part, quote, "Where are you? Not one public statement of condemnation, no legislative change for harsh penalties, nothing, nada. Leaving these animals twisting in the wind and suffering things you cannot even imagine. I can, though. I have plenty of photos of things that haunt me. Should I share them with you?" End quote. One day before the incident became public, veterinary students at Galen University were discussing the animal cruelty laws in Belize, emphasizing its leniency. Professor Dr. Miguel De Paz shared more on the students' concerns.
Recently, in one of my subjects, this is a big coincidence. I was teaching, I had a lecture of technical writing, and I said, you know what I need to work on? The Cruelty to Animals Act and the Dog Act. This was one night prior to the incident. And so I shared the act, the Cruelty to Animals Act, with my students, and their assignment was to think about what could be missing in the legislation, how can we amend this legislation, make proposals for provisions in the act. And so that was an assignment. And the following day, we got to hear about the unfortunate incident. So that law is very antiquated, from colonial days, I would want to believe. I'm not too sure. And we read it. It's very short, but one of the provision encompasses a lot. I think it's provision number 6, which speaks about the ill treatment and the abuse and the torture to animals. And there's a definition for animal, which also encompasses all domestic animals and even wildlife. However, the penalties is a big concern. The penalties are absurd, ridiculous. And so every student commented on the penalty and the little details. This was just submitted. The little details has to do with dogs walking, being walked on chain in the hot sun. Dog fights is a concern. The stray dogs are a concern. These stray dogs would enter into garbage bins and make a whole mess. The concern of having dogs tied and not having enough shelter, not having enough food, not having enough water.
Galen University veterinary student Elise Gayon Vernon said that she was shocked to find out how lenient Belize's laws are when it comes to animal cruelty. She said such lax laws make it seem it is okay to abuse animals. Vernon insists our laws need to be updated to show we accept no type of abuse.
The entire Belize found out that the penalty is only $100 fine. These laws were written long before any of us really took animal cruelty seriously, I believe. And now that it is such an important issue, especially within society, we have Spark, we have Belize City Community Animal, the Facebook page working towards animal rights. Now it is so important that we pay attention to our laws. And that was the conversation that we had. How important it is to update these laws, revise them to ensure that we are setting the precedents for the future to come, that people know that it is not acceptable to hurt another living thing, an animal, whether it be a horse, a cow, a dog, a pig. It is not acceptable. And having very lax laws kind of makes it seem like it is, because we don't have the punishment to combat these negative effects. So it is so important, and I am advocating, I'm hoping that whoever is watching this hear our cries for a new set of laws, for a more stern set of laws that can show that we are serious. Loving animals does not only mean that, oh, we love them. I think it shows our mindset as a society. It shows what we are willing to accept, what we are willing to let slide. If we put down our foot on animal abuse, it shows that we are not accepting any type of abuse, animal, children, domestic violence. We're not accepting any of it.
Dr. DePaz said he feels that for the laws to truly be changed, there needs to be a lead group to step up and challenge it. He feels this could be the local government or the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, Baja.
There has to be somebody to pick up the ball and run with it, a lead institution. And my opinion is that it is either the local government, which has the responsibility for town councils and city council, or Baja. It is Baja's responsibility to identify focal points. There are what we call focal points. It is their responsibility because Belize is a member of the World Organization for Animal Health. We are a member. It's an organization that started in 1924. We joined in the year 2002, somewhere around there. And so we have some mandatory obligation. And I know that Baja has to have focal points to address animal welfare, disease notification, food safety issues, laboratories, communication. Those are just to mention some of the focal points that we need. And these focal points are people that liaise. They are liaison persons between the government and the World Organization for Animal Health. So that could clearly justify why we would need regulations for animal welfare under the auspices of Baja. If you read the mission statement of Baja, it also mentions about providing an efficient, competent, professional service in animal health and welfare. So if you read those things and you know the mandate of Baja, I would say Baja would be a good institution to enact new regulations for animal welfare.
After the break, beekeeper helps primary school with bee issue. Stay tuned.
20 years ago, we SMART, celebrating 20 years of bringing people together.
In late March, Biscayne Government Primary School had unwanted visitors. They were bees, who had decided that one of the school buildings would make for a great home. As expected, however, they proved to be a hazard to both students and staff. Elise Gayon Vernon, a resident of Biscayne and a certified beekeeper, was called in to assist with the issue. Vernon explained that there was no way to rehome the bees.
Yes, so Biscayne Government Primary School, they called me because, again, I'm from Biscayne. They called me and complaining about some bees flying around because it is harvest season. The bees are busy getting their nectar and their pollen to make honey. And it just so seemed that these bees made home in the school, in the roof of the school. So they called me, and so we went down there. We got the ladder and everything, and I climbed up. I'm afraid of heights, but I climbed up to find where this nest is. Unfortunately, the nest was not in the roof as I was hoping. The nest was embedded in the cement block of the walls of the school. And then there's a metal layer on top of the cement block. So it's really difficult to get to them without taking down basically the entire wall. And if you know me, I am an advocate for saving the bees. Bees are important to us. You know, they help us with pollination. They're the reason why we have most of the food that we have today. So I do not like to kill them, but in this case, there was no other choice. So I had to. So I climbed up and I went back the evening, climbed up and sprayed them. That's what you can see in the picture. And unfortunately, I did not get them all because, again, it is so difficult to get into the blocks. So I do need to return to get the remainder. But the teachers at the school, they said that they are much less now, that they aren't as much of a threat as they were before. So I'm happy for that.
Galen University in Central Farm, Cayo has a veterinary technician associate degree program where 20 students are currently enrolled in the course. One of the program's professors, Dr. Miguel De Paz, explained that the program is the only one offered in the region. He said that this program fills a need in the community as well, as oftentimes these vet techs can offer assistance when a veterinary may not be available.
It's the only program in the region. Prior to this, in the 70s, I would think that they had a similar program in Guyana. And actually, we would have some Belizeans that would have graduated from that institution, yeah, Repaha in Grenada. But in the early 2000s, that institution was closed down. And so my point is that we are the only institution that has a veterinary technician animal health program in the region. So it's a one of a kind, and we started before COVID. We actually started before COVID. So when institutions were moving to online teaching, we had that in place already. So I was glad for that. Currently, I have approximately 20 students taking the course. I am not the only professor. I'm an adjunct professor, by the way. It's not a full-time employment. And there are other professors. And I'm so glad that we have this program because in reality, there's a deficit in numbers of registered veterinarians, and the public in general is always seeking for help with their animals, whether it's farm animals, whether it's pets. They want that assistance, and many times the licensed, the registered veterinarian is not available, and the general public seek for assistance from these type of people.
Dr. De Paz revealed that the university is looking to eventually expand the program to be able to offer higher degrees in the profession.
The owner of Galen has much interest in developing this program and taking it further. Actually, I was supposed to have a meeting with him. We're having a little bit difficulty coordinating the meeting, but we should get over that. But the owner, Dr. Aird, Dr. Sherry Gibbs, who is the dean of the faculty, they have shown lots of interest, and I advocate for that. I advocate for that. I would like to see that Galen University would have a veterinary establishment where we could train our people, because right now the training we're dependent on other institutions to accept our students to do their internship. We have to request from those other institutions acceptance of our students, and sometimes it's not easy, it's a challenge. And so I'm really advocating that we work on this, that we develop, that we establish a veterinary institution, whether it's at the technician level, and farther down the road we can take it up to a different level, may perhaps offering the veterinary degree, but that is something long term. But the short term is really to have them trained at the Galen premises, and so we're working on that. I'm so glad that is something in the pipeline.
In sporting news, this Sunday, April 13, the 34th Annual Women's Cross Country Cycling Classic kicks off at 8 a.m. from Columbus Park to Digi Park. Alexi Bilal has a preview of what to expect.
The BL Junior Cross Country Cycling Classic on Sunday, April 6, was dominated by Guatemala national Kevin Rojas with a solo lead of almost 3 minutes. It then came down to a field sprint with Caden Sutherland coming in second and Keith Enright Jr. coming in third. Coming up on Sunday, April 13, is the 34th Annual Women's Cross Country Cycling Classic. Various teams will line up to compete for victory. From Columbus Park, San Ignacio to Digi Park on Princess Margaret Drive in Belize City, the race gets underway at 8 a.m. sharp. Participating teams include Troyer Treats, Legion, Level Cycling Team, Team Imanes, Griga Cycling Club, Unattached Riders, and also foreign cyclists. We spoke to some of the women who will be participating.
For me, this race is more of like a race just to see where I'm at, but I'm also looking forward to competing again. I believe that all of the girls are working extremely hard, so I'm not sure who's like my competition right now, but we'll see on Sunday how it goes. First, thank my family for always having my back, my mom who's very supportive, my dad who gives me all of the necessary equipments which I need. I'd also like to thank my sister, my friends, and most importantly, God.
I have to prepare my mind before I start race because I have a very weak mind in my race. I don't have a coach. My sponsor is my coach. I don't have someone that goes with me on the road, but he talked to me and tell me what I have to do, and I try to follow it in the best of my ability.
Honest, right now, I not ride because of school, but if I do go ride, my pa, my coach, like I think Saturday right before a race, we might go do an easy ride. Then tell me what all I have to do for a race, because I also do it for the fun at this point in my career, because I still have to focus past school, because school is my main priority right now.
This will be my first women's cross country, and I'm both excited and nervous all at once. My preparations began early this year, and I've put in a lot of work with long distance riding, intervals, and even speed training to be ready for this challenge. I want to take this moment to express my gratitude to all of my supporters, whether it's through encouragement, advice, and even believing in me. Your support means the world to me, and I want to give it my all in this race. Thank you very much.
Who will get to wear the garland at the end of the 34th Annual Women's Cross Country Cycling Classic? Reporting for XTV, I am Alexi Belial.
The Miss Universe Belize 2025 pageant is scheduled to take place at the Belize City Civic Center sometime in June. Tonight is the last night to submit applications. National Director Destiny Arnold revealed that those who have submitted their applications thus far are of high standards. She encourages others to take the leap, even if they may not have a pageant experience.
Well, they are drop dead gorgeous, for lack of better words. So they're not only their beauty is going to wow you, I think their intelligence, their preparation, their passion, and just their personability. We have already spoken to a couple of applicants through their interviews, and I am so excited for the quality of girls that are going up this year. And it just goes to show that we have amazing talent across Belize, and I can't wait to showcase that. Well, the application is still open. Today is the last day to get the application in. You can find the link to the application on our Instagram bio as well as on our Facebook. The interest is there. There is a bit of hesitancy that we are running into in 2025 because uh, our girls are wanting to be prepared. You know, we have successfully raised the standard of pageantry across Belize, and our girls want to meet that expectation. I just don't want the feeling of the need to prepare to turn into a fear to compete. I want to remind the public that there have been multiple queens that won Miss Universe Belize and have never had any type of pageant experience. Yes, we are still hosting the pageant at the City Center in Belize City. I can tell you that it will be in the month of June, but we have not officially announced the date. But we are very excited. As far as elevating the experience, we are really making sure that our audience has a more elevated experience than they did last year. I think our production was excellent last year, but as usual, we want to always build upon what we have already founded.
For more information on how to apply, visit Miss Universe Belize social media accounts. It is important to note that the Miss Universe organization has dropped the upper age limit, and now any woman over 18 can apply. There are also no height or weight restrictions, and mothers and married women can also apply. The Miss Universe 2025 pageant is scheduled to take place in November in Thailand. And Atlantic Bank is now accepting submissions for their 15th art competition. Students in standards 4 through 6 and high school students are eligible to submit their artwork, along with a brief explanation at any Atlantic Bank through to May 30. The theme for this year is Traditions That Shape Who We Are. 15 winners will be selected with a varying value of saving certificates as prizes. Marketing manager at Atlantic Bank, Tanya Tillett, spoke more on the competition.
It's 15 years that we are celebrating this art competition, so we're very proud of that. So that's a milestone for us this year. You know that we're celebrating 15 years, and the art competition is open once again. And this year, the theme is Traditions That Shape Who We Are. So um, anybody that's in either standard 4, 5, or 6, or a high school for a support program, it has to be a Belizean institution, can participate in this art competition. So you submit your piece based on the theme, like I said, traditions that shape who we are. So traditions can be either existing traditions, new traditions that you may create with your family or our culture, things like that. So those are the things that our young artists can consider when they're painting their pieces to submit into this art competition. So another great thing about this competition is for the students, it's an opportunity for them to gain some prizes. So we are giving away gift certificates ranging from 200 all up to 1,200. So we select 15 winners at the end of the competition, and we score them, and based on their score, they get they're either ranked from 1 to 15, and they get the corresponding prize.
And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on the station later tonight at 9 and again at Monday. Join us again Monday for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend.